Cliche of opening narration replaced by its sinister cousin opening singing.
And what's so bad about it exactly? Of course you aren't gonna tell us.
What? We already did the Disney logo with the f***ing castle. Jesus, now we're doing multiple logos per studio in front of the film?
You know, Pixar's been doing this for years, having both a Disney and Pixar logo in front. Why are you pretending this is a new thing for them?
Cute baby animal qualification? Fulfilled.
Pointing out that Disney does things multiple times, eh? This would ring a lot better if it weren't coming from you.
Also, the director said, I want you to have that baby reindeer eat a carrot so he'll look like even more of an asshole.
Wait, isn't it usually an apple? Now you're using a carrot for this running gag? And again, you literally just commented that this movie is doing something that's already been done, and here you are bringing up one of your running gags.
Stronger than 1, stronger than 10, stronger than 100 men!
Ice is stronger than 100 men, unless you have a pickaxe.
You're taking that literally? These men are obviously exaggerating just to prove how tough they are.
Is anyone chaperoning this child?
Well, no. That's kind of the point. The movie is trying to establish that Kristoff was a loner with only Sven there to help him. It isn't until he runs into the trolls that he has friends.
To the magic! To the magic!
Animation? Princess? Magic? Disney movie is a go, people. Disney movie is a go for launch.
But this movie is meant to be a subversion of all the Disney tropes. It has to include these things in order to do that.
Movie rips off the all the answers are in some old mysterious book thing from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Harry Potter also did this, and I'm positive there are plenty more movies other people can think of. This isn't that unique of a storytelling device.
This map looks really unhelpful.
It looks like it's giving directions to me. Are you telling me you couldn't follow this? Oh, who am I kidding? Of course you can't.
We interrupt this animated princess movie to bring you Galaxy Quest.
Arbitrary movie reference.
But don't worry, I leave the fun.
You mean you have the power to remove fun too?
This troll is erasing all of Anna's memories that Elsa has powers. His point is that he would have removed all the memories of the sisters having fun, but he chooses not to. It's as simple as that.
But she won't remember I have powers?
It's for the best.
Yeah, because you don't have and never will have the power to tell your sister no when she asks you to do magic.
She's a kid though. This is safer, trust me.
You must learn to control it.
I know a guy who teaches a summer class if you want to enroll.
Arbitrary movie reference.
Wait, I know this room is huge, but they still had to share a bedroom in this huge castle?
You say that like it's unusual. Dude, parents always make rooms for siblings to sleep together in. I guess that's a foreign concept to you?
So does Anna really not see Elsa for years? The family never gets together and eats dinner or anything?
Well, yeah, that's what the movie is suggesting. The parents probably just brought dinner to Elsa. I mean, they are pretty heartless to just ignore Anna. I'm sure it's in character for them to do this.
This stunt is actually more dangerous than any of the ice games Anna and Elsa were playing before.
Pretty sure this doesn't straight up freeze you to death.
Girl with superpowers? Dead parent cliche? This is a superhero movie.
Girl with superpowers? This video was in 2014, before Wonder Woman came out. Why don't you just say protagonist with superpowers? This joke about this being a superhero movie is completely ruined because of that one word.
Who knew we owned 8,000 salad plates?
You could not possibly grow up in this f***ing behemoth castle without knowing you had 8,000 salad plates.
You don't think the parents prevented her from going into the kitchen?
What if I meet the one?
Neo is a Warner Brothers character, so I'm not sure how you think that would happen. But Princess has got a dream, I guess. Or wait, did you mean Jet Li?
Arbitrary movie reference.
It seems like these gloves do a good job keeping the ice from happening, so why did Elsa need to lock herself in a room for all these years?
Because she was supposed to control those powers. That was literally the whole point of locking the castle.
A chance to find true love.
This girl's motivation changed from hanging out with her sister to finding true love in the blink of an eye.
Well, she does later talk about how she feels Elsa was a jerk for locking her out. And I have a feeling she had that issue in the past 3 years. And she's been singing about wanting to find a love interest this entire song, including that part where you made that Matrix reference.
This is a princess, right? Heir to the f***ing throne? Not one person guarding her or keeping an eye on her? This kingdom is run by f***ing idiots.
I mean, it is the same kingdom that thought it was a good idea to make Elsa feel more afraid by locking the castle.
Hey,
Is this the first time they've seen or spoken to each other in like a decade?
Yes.
it just can't.
Is there any reason you can't tell your sister about your powers now that you're both adults? When the trolls recommended you keep it from her, she was like 6.
Yep, I was thinking the same thing watching this movie again for this video. Though you could see this as a character flaw since Elsa is traumatized for hurting her sister.
Falling in love in one evening montage cliche.
Again, this movie is meant to subvert those tropes, so showing this scene here only for Hans to not actually love her is precisely the point.
We are nearly 30 minutes into this 90-minute movie, and while the kingdom and princesses are pretty well established, there's no real sign of conflict. And I honestly can't tell who the main character is, Elsa or Anna.
Why can't they both be main characters? And you're saying this movie has no sign of conflict, but this scene right here starts a conflict. You really do have a short attention span, don't you?
Elsa, please, please, I can't live like this anymore.
Damn it all, is this movie doing that whole simple misunderstanding that real people would never have because they ask questions and have normal human conversations about it thing? She would rather Encino Man her sister than just tell her the truth.
You already mentioned this. Double dipping.
The cold never bothered me anyway.
So is she empowered now, or is she the villain now?
What gave you the idea that she's the villain? Literally all she did was sing a tired song of letting her magic go, and at this point she doesn't know that her eternal blizzard is everywhere.
Horse abandons the hero for no other reason than the plot cliche.
For no reason? You mean the same horse that was scared?
She's a stinker. Oh, no, come back. No.
Wait, if the whole land is covered in icy cold winter that can't go away because, it's so cold that the sun can't melt the ice, then how is there a running stream for Anna to fall into?
Why are you pronouncing Anna's name like that? They say her name multiple times in this movie. How'd you mess that up?
Foot size?
Foot size doesn't matter.
Did the writers just sneak in a size doesn't matter joke into this kid's movie?
Says the guy who's made lots of inappropriate jokes over kids' films.
Well, good thing these wolves have evolved to have eyes that can glow on cue, or else humans wouldn't have a chance.
Isn't the only reason you did this movie is because it's popular since it made over $1 billion? Meaning everyone has seen it? So why are you trying to lie to your audience? The reason why the wolves' eyes weren't glowing before is because Kristoff's lantern wasn't close enough to them.
Sven, go.
This is like a family version of The Grey. Too bad Liam Neeson isn't here to threaten to beat someone to death over a f***ing billfold.
Arbitrary movie reference.
I'm sorry, even when you're a cartoon, you should be dead. Gripping a snowy cliff with gloves? At the very least, do like Wile E. Coyote and crash into the bottom of the canyon with a satisfying poof.
Even when you're a cartoon. Do you seriously not hear yourself?
I like this shot, but where the f*** are they going right now?
Sending something you like.
It's completely frozen.
Roll credits.
Not only was the word frozen spoken during the Frozen Heart song in the beginning of the movie, but that word is an extremely common word in the English language. It would be a sin if they never said it.
Am I right?
Anna is a dick to snowmen she's just met.
I mean, this is a snowman that's literally alive. I feel like her reaction is reasonable.
Well, shit. I can't be upset about a talking snowman even if I want to be. And after this movie started out with magical rock trolls, but I can always just award another sin here for the magical rock trolls because it's not like that's gotten any less stupid at this point.
So you're okay with a woman who literally has the power to shoot ice out of her hands, and yet you think rock trolls and talking snowmen are too much of a stretch? Now I'm wondering what you thought of the second movie.
That's right. Olaf.
Come on, I mean, you definitely don't remember anything about Olaf because the magic troll's at the beginning. And surely if you remember Olaf, you'd remember your sister, the ice games you played, and getting knocked unconscious, and all of this could have been avoided in the first place.
The only reason you come to this conclusion is because you haven't been paying attention. The Grandpappy Troll changed all of Anna's memories from Elsa shooting ice to them playing out in the snow. Heck, even in that scene, you see a brief shot of Olaf inside a castle, which is then changed to them being outside in the snow. Anna remembers building Olaf, but she doesn't remember Elsa creating the snow to do it.
Also, when did Elsa's power change from being able to create snow and ice to being able to create living, conscious beings out of snow?
During that song that is played everywhere for years? Literally the whole point of that song was that Elsa was seeing how powerful she could really be without holding back.
But I found a staircase that leads exactly where you wanted to go.
Goddess ex machina.
The staircase that we literally saw Elsa build in the most overplayed song ever is now being called a Deus Ex Machina. I just can't right now.
You should probably wait out here.
What?
Last time I introduced her to a guy, she froze everything.
Impeccable logic. I mean, those were way different circumstances. And what, is she gonna extra freeze the already frozen country if she gets upset this time?
I agree with the first part of your sin, but as for your second part, during the climax of the movie, the blizzard gets even worse. So yeah, Anna is afraid of that.
We totally lost Marshmallow back there.
Okay, so this isn't the Abominable Snowman? And you're just basically going to take the Ghostbusters villain name? Sure, they don't call him Marshmallow Man, but they might as well.
Oh, so you're sinning the movie for making a pop culture reference? Where have I seen that before?
And don't worry, they'll be able to fix this.
How do you know?
Because I've seen them do it before.
And you're not putting two and two together and realizing she's the exact same girl somehow.
I mean, he probably did. He just didn't say it out loud.
The way to fix up this fixer-upper is to fix him up with you.
Okay, so these trolls are love experts. When did saving people from icy blasts to the head enter the picture?
Is your point that these trolls can't have multiple purposes and abilities? That's kind of dumb.
Only an act of true love can thaw a frozen heart.
Oh my god!
For hopefully the last time, this movie is meant to subvert those tropes. He specifically said act of true love, and everyone assumes that means true love's kiss. But as we all know, it's the love Anna feels for her sister that saves her. You've been criticizing this movie for doing things similar while ignoring the fact that it's doing it differently than how it normally happens.
Make sure she's safe.
Unnecessary orders.
I mean, Kristoff loves her and clearly cares for her safety. This is him being emotional, not logical.
Hans is suddenly evil because, well, we need another 15 minutes out of this script, and also we had two decent guys for her to fall in love with, and this way she doesn't have to make a choice. Also, wouldn't it be logical for the ice-loving Kristoff to fall in love with the Ice Queen? Two perfect guys, two perfect girls, and the sniveling Weaselton guy could have been the villain trying to overthrow Arendelle. Instead, this movie's so focused on trying to pull the rug out from the audience and be surprising, it loses common sense.
You could have criticized this twist for not making sense in so many ways, but you chose that? As much as I don't like it, it does serve the purpose of subverting these tropes. The fact that Anna and Hans fall in love turns out to not actually be real love, and Anna's love for Elsa is what saves her in the end instead of a true love's kiss. You are literally suggesting this movie do something similar to a lot of Disney films, which I'm positive if it did, you'd sin it for being unoriginal.
Also, how the f*** did he know Anna was in here?
He probably was just going through every single room until he eventually found her.
Also, maybe she should be dead by now. Elsa's ice tends to move quickly, and her heart's been frozen for days now.
What are you talking about? She's been frozen for days? Elsa froze Anna in what looks like the afternoon, and then Anna and Kristoff go to the trolls during night, and then they ride all the way to Arendelle and get there in the morning. How did you conclude that Anna's been frozen for days? That might be one of the biggest leaps in logic I've ever seen.
Guy who wants to kill the queen just stares at her when she drops to her knees and turns her back.
Ignoring for the moment that Hans literally does pull out his sword right after this, he was distracting her by telling her that her sister is dead, and I think that's the perfect time to strike while she's emotionally distracted.
I'm calling bullshit on this "they were on a boat the whole time" nonsense here because they are clearly not on a boat back before the thawing started.
Actually, they were. You can clearly see parts of the ship right here.
We never really got an answer on how her ice magic managed to create a sentient being, but f*** it, I guess. We've got ice skating to do.
You really need an explanation for how magic is able to create life? How would that even be explained?
Also, an island kingdom, a long unseen princess locked away, horse reindeer playfulness, wild scoundrel love interest. I swear to God, this movie Entangled started out as the same script.
Well, Tangled was more of a straightforward romance, while Frozen was a subversion of the Disney tropes. They would be the same if you just ignored the deeper meanings. Alright, now just to get to the outro and sin count, and then we'll be done. Hello? What are you talking about? I'm doing Frozen right now. Wait, they did a resin? Oh, well, it is one of their more popular videos. I guess that makes sense. Well, sure, I could tackle that. It can't be that long, right? Wait, it's 22 minutes long? How do you do that with a kid's movie? Do I have to? That's right. The real crime would be to not finish what we started. I'll do it. Whatever it takes.
Giving us an extra 6 seconds of black screen singing before you even start the 50 full seconds of logos like some sort of sadistic, power-hungry, mouse-based corporation intent on destroying my soul.
Huh. No wonder this video was 22 minutes long.
I hereby petition the linguistic cabal to replace watching paint dry with watching ice crystallize. It's a good thing this music is interesting, because I'm already bored.
How are those two things even comparable? Watching snow is the same as paint drying? Like, What?
Basically, this movie has Elsa symbolically frozen because her heart's not open. And I just realized that the theme for this movie is Madonna's Frozen.
Okay.
What sort of asshole forces a cameraman to submerge in freezing water, swim beneath a sheet of ice, and risk being stabbed in the f***ing eye just for this shot?
Padding the sin count.
I think the movie wants me to believe that cutting up ice is really hard work, but the saw blades seem to hot knife through butter along pretty big sections of ice here. This means that the ice isn't that thick, and they should not be standing on it, or their blades are magical, and we are watching men pretend to work hard so they don't have to go home to their boring evening lives.
And who is using those saws? Because kids couldn't do this. These men have clearly trained hard to become strong enough to even push saws through ice at all. It's not as easy as you're suggesting.
Someone thought ahead about the little Kristoff needing little tools at the end of the row, and while many will think it's adorable, it just shows how Arendelle is A-okay with child labor.
That's just a dumb assumption. You pointed out in the original video that these men never even noticed Kristoff here, so he most likely found this tool himself.
At first I thought the most dangerous part of the ice-breaking activity was that these guys are hacking away at the ice they are currently standing on. But now I see that ice shards will appear out of nowhere and stab them, as if angry that their ice chunk friends were ripped away from their mother, chopped up in front of their family, and thrown into a cart to be hauled away and eaten by horrible people.
It's pretty obvious that ice fell into the water and thus gave this ice the momentum to float out. Kind of like how you would put pebbles in a cup of water and the water rises.
Lyrics say that ice is stronger than 100 men, but I'm only seeing 6 men here. So how are they conquering the ice? I've seen more icebreakers at opening day of junior high summer camp.
You're still taking this literally 8 years later? Like I said the first time, they are exaggerating just to explain how strong they really are.
Wake up, wake up, wake up!
Sips.
So the sin is that the movie is portraying siblings correctly? You're literally sinning the movie for being realistic? Considering you always want movies to be more realistic, this is incredibly hypocritical.
Hi, I'm Olaf, and I like warm hugs.
Thinking you have to specify your preference in hug temperature.
Well, this is a snowman who's saying this.
Elsa, what have you done?
The dad busts in the room and immediately assumes Elsa has done something wrong. And this is just one way that movies plant fear into kids when they call for help. Is it so hard to write this scene to start with a loving parent that rushes in and asks if everyone's okay?
There is ice all over the room, and Elsa is the one who called out for help. I feel like his reaction is reasonable.
She's ice cold.
I know where we have to go.
One might think the answer would be a doctor or a fire, but not in this universe. In this universe, you go here, where a man has blue wisps over his head and a shadow boogeyman raises his arms to Satan in the background.
Considering Anna was injured by a girl who has supernatural powers, yeah, a doctor would be able to fix that.
Also, thinking this rudimentary map is enough to get you to what I'm hoping says Tron.
Arbitrary movie reference.
Faster, Spin!
Faster? That baby moose is running faster than any moose in the history of moosing, and he's carrying you, and you're bigger than he is.
He's a kid, you moron. Why do you think he's thinking logically here?
She won't remember I have powers?
It's for the best.
I mean, maybe, but that's not why they came here. Rock Dude is like, oh yeah, we can heal her, but also we're going to do a little eternal sunshining. It's not really required for the healing, but why the not?
The memory wiping is meant to help Anna. If she doesn't know that Elsa has powers, then Anna never asks to play with her snow.
We will limit her contact with people and keep her powers hidden from everyone, including Anna.
Yes, it's clear now that King Agnar is a short-sighted dick, but I blame the trolls as well. He's saying this shit right in front of them, and not a single one of them was like, you could just try something like open communication, developing emotional intelligence, and maybe not induce shame-based solitude. Just a thought.
Or he could have just told them that love is the answer to controlling her powers. I agree that locking Elsa up like this was a dumb idea, but you didn't even mention the one thing that could have prevented the whole thing.
Also, movie robs us of a good power training montage.
Didn't you sin Kung Fu Panda for having a training montage? Pretty sure you would have sinned it anyway.
Conceal it.
Don't feel it.
Don't let it show.
A conversation about condoms somehow makes its way into a kid's movie.
This further proves what I was saying in the original video, that you make inappropriate jokes over kids' movies, and yet you criticize this movie for having one. Also, Jeremy says boner.
Anna rides a goddamn bike down the fucking stairs like a lunatic with a death wish. And if we're supposed to be protecting Anna from the things that hurt her, then why is she, 1, not being watched by an adult, and 2, stopped from doing this activity or any of the others in this scene?
The parents are focusing on Elsa and ignoring Anna.
Watching Elsa suffer through her powers as an adolescent is tough. Especially when we know now that her mother is Northuldra and has seen magical things in her youth that could help Elsa understand her place in the world. Why no one shares these important details with her is either because they're the worst, or because Disney went for a cash grab and failed to consider how creating the Northuldra storyline out of their ass would paint the parents in a super negative light.
I haven't seen Frozen 2 in a long time, so correct me if I'm wrong, but what about the mom being a Northuldra would have helped here? How would knowing about other magic have helped Elsa control her powers? This movie explains that love is what'll fix it, and I don't believe that has anything to do with the sequel's lore.
See you in 2 weeks.
She will not.
You'll be fine, Elsa.
She will not.
2 sins back to back of Jeremy just narrating. You know, the original video wasn't great, but at least you didn't try to pad the sin count with BS like this.
Shh, shh. If you listen hard enough, you can hear the sound of 1,000 children's tears joining the rainstorm as they suffer at the hands of Disney's highly precise emotional sniping.
So you're sinning children for crying that the parents died? Well, that's a new one.
Also, Elsa and Anna's parents have gone to find the secret of Elsa's powers and die at sea. You would think that they had thought ahead to the worst-case scenario of their deaths and left some sort of clue for their fifth element daughter to discover back home, but no, they just go out there and die like selfish assholes.
That should be a sin for Frozen 2, though, since this issue didn't exist back in 2013 when this movie came out.
Holy shit, those headstones must be insanely heavy. Were they just out in nature like this and on a romantic stroll one afternoon? A happy couple saw them and thought, look at that pair of delightful stones. Let's put our corpses here someday.
I mean, they were the king and queen of Arendelle, for Pete's sake. Also, you know their corpses are at the bottom of the sea, right?
Well, I can appreciate a second well-timed trauma skip in under 10 minutes. I get the impression that the writers didn't want to teach the kids how to healthily process trauma at all.
I think we got enough of that during the last part of Do You Want to Build a Snowman? And besides, that would have just made the movie longer.
The gates will open soon. Time to get ready.
Of course. Ready for what?
Your sister's coronation, ma'am?
She's about to sing a whole ass song about how excited she is for this day. This is like Christmas morning for her. So excuse me if I mention how unbelievable it is that she would have forgotten to wake up.
Dude, I forget to wake up every day, even if it's special, and Anna doesn't have an alarm clock. I find this completely believable.
I guess I just want to sin that these people didn't have time to watch little Anna as she rode bikes downstairs, but did have time to practice the lost art of perfectly synchronized window opening for absolutely no reason.
This is an important day where tons of guests are gonna be here. It makes sense they only appear now.
These ducklings go full Cinderella effect with Anna here, and I wish these movies would stop teaching our children all the wrong lessons about interacting with nature.
Even children understand that animals aren't as intelligent in real life as they are in the movies, or even if they don't, the parents can just tell them.
Anna somehow hovers in the air here for a perfect pose, and I'm just saying that this is not the singer in this movie that would be defying gravity.
It's a cartoon, dude. Animated films are not meant to be realistic.
Prince Hans of the Southern Isles.
Prince Hans discount Zach Levi voices so hard in this movie that I don't know whether to remove a sin for Tangled or add one for Thor the Dark World.
Not only would this be for movies other than Frozen, it seems like this challenge of not being able to decide isn't much of a challenge since you just add a sin. So this sin is for Thor the Dark World. Yep, you're padding the sin count.
Somehow, Prince Hans shows up at the coronation in new clothes and is completely dry despite taking a full dive into the water earlier.
Do you think Hans didn't bring multiple clothes with him? And there was most likely a time jump that we didn't see, giving him enough time to change and dry up.
I don't care how much of an asshole this old chap is. If Weaselton's elderly are this spry and agile, you really want to remain their ally.
You know this man wanted to gather treasure and possibly commit treason, right? Can't say I agree with that.
Seriously, movies, if the moon is this big, it's over. We're all dead. Seriously, Roland Emmerich made a documentary about it and everything. And now we're cross-fading into new environments? What is this dark reality and the curse that hath wrought upon us all? These two sing about saying goodbye to the pain of the past rather than saying goodbye to their eyesight while dancing dangerously close to a light designed to be seen from 20 miles away in the fucking ocean.
3 sins back to back of Jeremy questioning cartoon logic. Out of all the issues people have brought up with this movie, this isn't one of them.
I said enough!
This whole segment will make it appear that Elsa has zero control over her powers, but she already had pretty good control of them when she was a kid. Not only that, but you're telling me when she was locked up in a room, she wasn't experimenting with her powers and figuring them out? Being a teenager locked in my room was the absolute best time to experiment with my powers.
She did have control over them before striking Anna, but after that, her powers started getting out of control where everything she touches gets ice. And the movie is now saying that she can't even move her hands without shooting it, unless she's wearing gloves for some reason. And why would Elsa be experimenting with her powers? She was literally afraid the entire time, and she didn't want to hurt her parents. Also, Jeremy says boner.
This shot is gorgeous, but how exactly are the freezing physics working here? When she steps, is it immediately freezing all the way to the bottom of this fjord? Because if it's just the surface, these steps should be all sorts of wobbly. The answer is magic.
Bring me my horse, please.
But do not bring my coat, because I just want to race into the wilderness and ignore my skin telling me that it is now winter, even though my clothes are saying it's summer. Also, Anna's horse will be fetched, saddled, prepped, and back here to the town square in exactly 8 seconds.
This guy says that Anna forgets about her coat, but then in the very next scene, he literally shows a guy handing her a coat.
Elsa has been captive in her castle her entire life, but somehow has the stamina to race across the water and to a mountaintop with 0 leg cramps or anything. Like, she's not even out of breath and manages to belt out an entire song.
Well, she is basically a sorcerer.
And here we see that Elsa's powers are not only able to bring snow creatures to life, but also create feats of icy engineering from emotional, imaginational intent or plot preferences. Neat. She's a goddess without limit.
Superman is also OP, but he's still partly human and has flaws. Elsa is the same way.
I saw a sort of ribbon or something in Elsa's bun as she turns, but when she lets down her braid, there is no blue tie in her hair.
The hair tie is right there.
Ooh, and sauna.
It's pronounced sauna, Anna. And if you've got fjords in your backyard, you would know this.
Says the guy who mispronounced Anna's name in the original video.
Kristoff is now singing about how reindeers are better than people, and the sin is that it's true. And to be clear, reindeers suck, so you do the math.
Sinning something that you agree with.
What size?
Foot size doesn't matter.
I can't believe this joke is in this movie. But more importantly, do you know his foot girth?
Like I said the first time, you sinning this joke for being in a kid's movie is extremely hypocritical, because in this re-sin, you've already made 2 inappropriate jokes. The fact that you don't realize this is honestly amazing to me.
Of course I don't want to help her anymore.
Because wolves attacking their sled was totally Anna's fault somehow.
Well, if Anna didn't ask Kristoff to help her, then they wouldn't be in this mess in the first place. I'm not saying he's right, but I am saying he's mad at her because he's a flawed human being.
She'll die on her own. I can live with that.
That's right, kids. This asshole turns out to be a better match for Anna as a partner.
Do you not know what a character arc is? Kristoff starts off not caring for her, and then learns that he truly loves her by the end.
But you won't get your new sled if she's dead.
Character motivation exposition via moose imitation is a new one, but it's still a sin.
Okay, but why? The movie is explaining why he continues to help her. If the movie didn't explain that, you would have questioned why. Movies seriously can't win with you, can they?
I mean, it's a beautiful landscape, but where in the are they going to go from here?
Sending something you like.
Snowman begging for summer? Hilarious. But how does this newborn snowman know all about bees and dandelions and burning sand and unicorns to begin with? Did Elsa create him with selective knowledge? What an elsehole.
This question was answered in a short on Disney Plus of all things, which came out 2 years before this video. Oaken gave him a Viewmaster that showed him pictures of summer.
Let's go bring back summer!
Somebody's got to tell him.
Kristoff is absolutely correct. To withhold information like this from a sentient being about their own vulnerability and weaknesses is devastatingly cruel, and each of these humans who doesn't let him know are terrible friends. The end.
Not the end. The reason they don't tell him is because they want Olaf to lead them to Elsa, and telling him that he'll melt during summer would discourage him from wanting to help.
It's super nice of Disney to spare us the more likely traumatic flashback that Elsa would be having here. You know, all the adults in her life telling her she was dangerous and should change herself for the betterment of other people.
All of that would be more traumatic than almost killing your sister? What?
Elsa, wait. No, I'm just trying to protect you.
When you think about it, Anna's dismissal of Elsa's concern about her unstable powers is really fucking dumb. Anna may be young and inexperienced, but her sister is dangerous and there's enough evidence to just back away from the loaded icicle.
Not really. I'm sure Anna knows she's dangerous, but she wants to peacefully talk with her and try and help her fix this mess, even if she doesn't entirely know how to. That is true sisterly love right there.
Elsa accidentally blasts her sister again, and maybe we can forget that. But here in a second, she makes a massive monster to prove a point about wanting to be left alone. And then that creature tries to kill them. I'm sure Elsa's a great person because somehow she can make a marshmallow puff like Olaf and out a pretty palace. But someone needs to slap her so that she can get her together and stop making monsters that hurt people. And that never happens.
Well, she didn't mean to bring Olaf to life, so my assumption is that Elsa just wanted Marshmallow to get them out. But him getting angry was out of her control. Remember, Elsa doesn't have full control of her powers at this point, so this is a reasonable assumption.
It's because she struck you, isn't it?
You weren't even there to see that and haven't had any time to talk about it. Assumption much, Kristoff?
When Kristoff came in, he saw Anna falling down to the floor and holding her hands on her chest. Yeah, I think he's making a fair assumption.
I like to believe there was a stern conversation in the animation room about how ridiculous it is to wear high heels on ice.
She can literally make ice though. I don't think it matters to her.
Trolls. They're trolls.
The moment you have the realization as to why internet comments don't matter somehow makes it into the film.
Internet comments don't matter? Huh, no wonder you haven't improved.
I love how the shot to the head earlier put her out immediately until they could get her to the trolls, but the shot to her heart acts progressively as some sort of third act countdown cliche. And when I say love, what I mean is, we'll now send the ever-loving out of.
You somehow don't realize that hitting someone in the head would knock you out and hitting the chest wouldn't?
Just duck around it, you moron.
He's about to die. I doubt he'd be thinking clearly.
Oh, meet you guys at the castle!
How does he know what or where the castle even is? I'm getting tired of this snowman's omniscience about everything except his own ability to melt.
You think Olaf couldn't find the castle? And I feel like this would be hard to miss.
A true love's kiss. Oh, Anna, if only there was someone out there who loved you.
There's heel turns, and then there's heel turns that are so over the top that part of the heel melts into the floor from the friction of the spin. Hans goes from loving human to psychopath so fast, I'm not sure how he didn't melt a hole to the center of the earth and break both ankles in the process.
Wow, you actually realized the real problem with the twist this time. Nice job. I'll take a cent off for you amending your mistake.
I charged Queen Elsa of Arendelle with treason.
But not murder, because reasons.
The word treason means overthrowing or killing the rightful heir. Hans is saying that Elsa killed her sister, who is next in line to the throne once Elsa is gone. The word treason is being used correctly here.
Also, I want to send Olaf for breaking into a goddamn palace with zero understanding of its layout or any previous breaking and entering experience. But I think the fact that no other human comes to check on the presumed Anna corpse is the bigger sin.
Why would they check her corpse? Everyone trusts Hans and are intent on killing Elsa right now.
I don't even know what love is.
But do you want him to show you?
No. Just no.
Sven sacrifices himself, but doesn't actually sacrifice himself because Disney doesn't trust the audience to handle permadeath, so opts instead to wreck small children with f***ed up examples of love.
You think this would have killed Sven? And he is sacrificing his chance to help Kristoff get to Anna faster. The act is still noble.
Elsa.
This final turn of the act of true love being Anna's own act of love is set up and paid off perfectly. We were all set up for a false love and a true love, and then bam, the choice between saving Anna's own life or saving her sister's life. By the time we realize what's happened, the movie has already brought home its themes of non-romantic true love, and we're just a puddle of tears. I mean, you're a puddle of tears. I'm the asshole who's about to add a sin, because what kind of ice breaks a sword?
Gives a few reasons for why the movie deserves a sin off. Sends it anyway.
Anna sacrifices herself, but doesn't actually sacrifice herself because Disney doesn't trust the audience to handle permadeath. So opts instead to wreck small children with f***ed up examples of love.
Well, she still sacrificed herself since she definitely didn't know that she would still be alive right after this. And like you said, the movie has set up the non-romantical love idea perfectly, so this isn't a cop-out like you're suggesting.
Are you ready?
Here's a confusing moment when Elsa happily makes a skating rink for the people of Arendelle, who have not yet finished their therapy for the magical deadly winter she just caused.
I think there was a time gap here that we didn't see.
I like the open gates.
We are never closing them again.
Well, that is just dumb. There will be times when closing the gates makes sense, and you both need to learn about something called middle ground.
She obviously means not closing the gates permanently, dude. What is it with you taking movies this seriously, and why do people find this crap enjoyable?